It's hard to believe that in just a few days we will be entering a brand new version of honkaistarrail. And of course, I'm talking about version 4.4. Personally, I think this version is incredibly special, because this version is bringing a lot of amazing characters that are set to become the highlights of the banner lineup. And one of them is Himeko Nova. As many of you have probably heard from various sources, Himeko Nova is an extremely beginner-friendly character. In other words, she works perfectly with the characters we receive when we first start playing the game, specifically members of the Astral Express Crew. But that doesn't mean the value she brings is comparable to older characters. In fact, she arrives with powers that is fully aligned with the current meta, allowing anyone who owns her to immediately compete with players who have been playing for a much longer time. So, does this character deserve to be called the next meta-defining unit of version 4? I'm HoYoStation, and today's video, we're going to break down everything there is to know about Himeko Nova from top to bottom. Let's do this. Okay, let's start by talking about her base kit first. For all of you new players out there, I will try to explain everything as simply as possible so you can fully understand how this character works. First, let's talk about the highlights of Himeko Nova's kit. One of the things that makes Himeko Nova unique compared to every other character in honkaistarrail lies in her talent. When Himeko Nova enters battle, she introduces a brand new mechanic in the form of an extra button available to every team member called Assist Skill. This Assist Skill is Himeko Nova's special ability that can be accessed by all teammates during their turns. In short, we can continue using Himeko Nova's attacks even when it's another character's turn. This allows Himeko Nova to keep attacking despite not actually taking her own turn. Pretty cool, right? Unfortunately, you should also know that the assist skill mechanic is treated similarly to a regular skill. That means if we press the assist skill button during another character's turn, that character will immediately lose their turn and be considered to have finished their action. However, the interesting part is that this rule doesn't apply to Astral Express Crew characters. That's because Himeko Nova has a trace that grants an initial turn to Astral Express characters whenever they use assist skill during their own turn. As a result, characters outside the Astral Express Crew aren't able to maximize this mechanic quite as effectively. Oh yeah, and her talent also explains that every time we use Himeko Nova's assist skill, we gain an additional 4 energy. I know, at first glance that may not seem like much, but this effect becomes incredibly valuable when used by Astral Express characters since they still get to keep their turns afterward. This means every turn they gain extra energy, allowing them to activate their ultimates much more frequently. Now that we've covered Himeko Nova's mechanics, let's talk a little about the assist skill attack itself. You could say that Himeko Nova's assist skill is both powerful and completely up-to-date with the current meta. If we look at the attack type, Himeko Nova's assist skill uses a bounce mechanic. This makes it effective against both large groups of enemies and single targets, although not quite as specialized as pure bounce attacks. In addition, the assist skill can also be triggered outside of manually pressing the assist skill button, thanks to the mechanic called Companion Protocol. You're probably wondering what Companion Protocol is. Think of Companion Protocol as a mini mechanic that automatically activates whenever an Astral Express character uses an assist skill. There are 2 different Companion Protocol variations, and which one activates depends on which Astral Express characters you are using in your team. The important thing to understand is that after completing the conditions required by Companion Protocol, an additional assist skill attack will automatically trigger. This increases your team's overall damage output because it allows you to repeatedly activate assist skills against enemies. At this point, it should be pretty clear just how important Astral Express characters are for Himeko Nova's teams. Alright, now that we've covered the complicated stuff, let's move on to something simpler. Her skill, Upraise the Vanward Crescent. Unlike most characters whose skills are direct attacks, Himeko Nova's skill is more similar to those commonly found on Harmony characters, meaning it's a buff type skill. This skill increases all allies damage by 20% for 3 turns. And that's not all, it also completely restores all assist skill charges. One major difference between this skill and typical Harmony skills is how often you need to use it. Normally, Harmony characters only need to refresh their skills once every 3 turns. But Himeko Nova is different. She constantly needs to reapply her skill to replenish assist skill charges. So, the more frequently your teammates use assist skills, the more often Himeko Nova will need to refresh their skill. Anyway, besides her skill, you also need to know that Himeko Nova has an ultimate that can be considered one of her biggest sources of damage, called V2 Strike the Stars. This ultimate has a mechanic that is somewhat similar to Fei Xiao, where we can control the attack sequence once the ultimate mode begins. If we only look at the multiplier, this ultimate deals an incredibly high amount of damage. And of course, the damage from this ultimate can become even stronger if you pull for her signature land cone. Lastly, what about her traces? Honestly, all 3 of Himeko Nova's traces provide some pretty interesting effects. For example, Trace 1 removes the assist skill usage cost when Himeko Nova is the one using it, while Trace 3 generally increases the damage of her ultimate. However, the one that caught my attention the most is her second trace. This trace grants an additional turn whenever an Astral Express character uses assist skill during their turn. This allows their kits to continue functioning while also dealing damage to the enemy. Alright, now it's time to talk about her Eidolons. Do Himeko Nova's Eidolons provide a significant enough impact that we should consider pulling for them? Honestly, if you've been paying attention to this video from the beginning, you should already know that Himeko Nova's kit is already very solid and complete. Even without pulling for any of her Eidolons, her kit can already function properly. However, Himeko Nova's base kit does have one major weakness that prevents her from being fully maximized. What is it? Her kit relies too heavily on characters from the Astral Express Crew. This is certainly appealing for many newer players who don't have many characters options yet. However, it also prevents veteran players from using some of their strongest characters together with Himeko Nova. So in my opinion, the effect of Eidolon 2 is one of the most important upgrades among all of her Eidolons. Her Eidolon 2 increases the number of assist skill charges available to Himeko Nova to 2. It also increases the damage dealt by both her assist skill and ultimate, increases the number of assist skill charges restored when using her skill, and most importantly, Eidolon 2 grants an additional turn to characters outside the Astral Express Crew after they use assist skill. Clearly, the effect of Eidolon 2 completely changes almost the entire concept of Himeko Nova's team building. Originally, she was almost forced to use characters from the Astral Express Crew, but with Eidolon 2, she becomes much more flexible. Now we can freely use other meta characters outside the Astral Express Crew in her teams, such as Morton X Blade. Maybe now you are asking this: so what about her other Eidolons? Are they just as good as Eidolon 2? Personally, I think some of her other Eidolons are also quite good, especially Eidolon 1 and Eidolon 6. Eidolon 1 increases the number of times Himeko Nova can use assist skill, which obviously also increases her total damage output. Meanwhile, Eidolon 6 permanently increases all type resistant penetration and also increases the damage of assist skills used by allies. On top of that, Eidolon 6 also drastically increases the damage of Himeko Nova's ultimate, which is already one of her biggest strengths. As for Eidolon 4, even though its effect isn't as powerful as some of her other Eidolons, it provides an all-type resistant penetration buff to every team member, allowing the rest of the team to deal more damage. Unfortunately, if you pair Himeko Nova with characters who have low personal damage output, or characters who mainly function as supports, the effect of Eidolon 4 will feel less powerful. Based on data I got from Goba, The biggest performance increases among Himeko Nova's Eidolons can be found at Eidolon 2 and Eidolon 6. Eidolon 2 can provide an extremely high performance increase of up to 85% compared to Eidolon 0, while E6 can reach as high as 270%. This means that if you are seriously planning to go all out for Himeko Nova, you should at least aim for Eidolon 2 first because the damage increase is absolutely massive. Now that we've discussed Himeko Nova's mechanics, let's move on to her build. We will start with her light cones. Just like most characters, the best light cone option for Himeko Nova is obviously her own signature light cone, a star that lights the night. You could say that this light cone has an incredibly powerful effect, and honestly, how could it not? This light cone allows all of Himeko Nova's attacks to ignore 32% of the enemy's defense. This allows both her assist skill and ultimate damage to reach their full potential. And that's not all. Every time Himeko Nova uses assist skill, she gains additional energy, increased assist skill damage, and increased ultimate damage. So if you're planning to fully maximize Himeko Nova, this light cone is definitely something you should consider pulling. So what optional light cone can she use? Well, if you already have the Hertas light cone, you can also use it on Himeko Nova, although she won't be able to fully maximize all of its effect. This light cone provides additional critical rate, increases skill and ultimate damage, and also restores a skill point whenever the wearer uses their ultimate. Now what about her relics and planar ornaments? Which sets are suitable for Himeko Nova? For her best relic set, Himeko Nova will obviously use her own dedicated relic set. This relic set provides several powerful effects for Himeko Nova. Its 2-piece effect increases attack, while the full set increases skill and ultimate damage by 18%, which can stack up to 3 times. Just like her relic set, Himeko Nova will also use a new planar ornament set called Fallen Star and Courage. This ornament provides a large increase to critical rate and critical damage whenever there is an Astral Express Crew character in the team. You could say that this ornament set is incredibly good for almost every DPS characters who relies on critical rate and critical damage. And honestly, who could it not be? As long as we have an Astral Express character in the team, such as Danhang, we will receive a pretty solid amount of critical rate and critical damage. So besides Himeko Nova, this ornament set can also be used by other characters such as Archer, Finan, and many more. As for recommended stats you should aim for, you can see them on the screen right now. Alright, now let's answer one of the questions I'm sure many of you are going to ask in the comment section. Which one is more worth pulling first, S1 or E1? Honestly, both S1 and E1 offer something similar. They both increase Himeko Nova's personal damage without providing any buffs to the other characters in the team. The difference is that S1 provides a more universal effect that benefits almost her entire kit. Meanwhile, E1 only focuses on assist skill. And if we look at the data I already discussed in the Eidolons section, E1 only provides around a 21% performance increase. In my opinion, that still isn't a particularly massive upgrade. But honestly, the answer to this question depends on your individual situation. If you already have the Hertas light cone and can use it as a substitute for Himeko Nova's signature light cone, then I think going for E1 is a very reasonable choice. Even though S1 provides several powerful effects and is obviously better suited for Himeko Nova, the Hertas light cone still provides effects that are far from bad. However, if you don't have any premium light cone options for Himeko Nova, then I would clearly recommend pulling her signature light cone first. The performance difference between the free light cone available from Hertas store and her signature light cone is absolutely massive. On top of that, the effects of her signature light cone fits Himeko Nova perfectly. It will clearly allow Himeko Nova to reach her full potential as a hyper carry character. Now it's time to talk about teammates. Which characters are actually worth pairing with Himeko Nova? Well, if you regularly watch the videos on my channel, you probably already know that I've previously made a tier list ranking the characters who work best with Himeko Nova, starting from tier D all the way up to tier S. The characters in Tier S are all members of the Astral Express Crew, including RMC, Sunday, Datang, and Weld. These 4 characters are the ones I strongly recommend pairing with Himeko Nova. Aside from the fact that their kits have strong synergy with one another, they're also relatively common and easy to obtain. However, things become different once you have EIDOLONS 2. If you already have E2, then this tier list could change slightly. As we know, E2 grants an additional turn to non-Astral Express characters after they use as skill. This means Himeko Nova's effect can now work universally with almost any characters, guys. So, is Himeko Nova a must-pull character in version 4.4? Honestly, if you ask me about this character, I would give 2 different evaluations depending on the type of player you are. If you are a new player who has only recently started playing honkaistarrail, I strongly recommend that you do not skip Himeko Nova. She has incredibly strong performance and is fully up to date with the current meta. Finding teammates for her is also extremely easy. So even if you don't have many character options yet, you will still be able to use her effectively in battle. But what about veteran players? Well, if you're a veteran player, then the situation is clearly different. You could say that the one of Himeko Nova's current weaknesses is that she still doesn't have a dedicated support character. Because of that, Himeko Nova's current teams still haven't reached their full potential. Most of her teams currently rely on older characters and free characters. So for now, she isn't necessarily a must-pull for veteran players. She's more of an additional team option rather than a character you pull because you need an overwhelmingly powerful new team. However, this is a completely different story. If you have plenty of Stellar Jade and you're planning to pull for EIDOLONS 2, at E2, Himeko Nova becomes an absolutely monster with much greater potential to work with almost every character, including future characters. This significantly increases Himeko Nova's value for both veteran players and new players. So for now, I would give her a score of 9 out of 10 for new players and 8 out of 10 for veteran players. Okay guys, maybe that's all for now. What do you think about Himeko Nova? Please leave any comments down below and don't forget to check out my other videos because they are no less cool. Thanks for watching, stay safe, stay healthy, and see you in the next video.